Okay, hello and welcome to a track analysis of Jeddah. If you're a beginner and you're struggling to get around this track, it is a difficult track. Well, keep watching and I'll give you a few pointers of where to brake, where to throttle, to help you get around this track with no assists, because it is very difficult. So let's just get into it, shall we? So first you're coming down the main straight here, just crossing the start line, and the first thing you want to do is get close to the barrier on the right, as close as you can, to maximize turning for the next corner, maximize turning angle. So as you're coming down, you want to brake just about at the 100-meter board, or just after. A good rule of thumb, if you don't know where to brake and you're just starting out with no racing line to tell you when to brake, when you're going really fast down a straight and you're coming up to a tight corner, normally the rule of thumb I'd say is about the 100-meter board you want to be looking to brake. So brake around here, 100-meter board. You want to be brake, downshift, get down to third, second gear. And you want to hit this. You want to hit this apex here as tight as you can to open up to the next corner. Here we go over here, and you want to speed up a little bit. A little tap of the throttle, jump into third gear, up to third gear. And then maybe even a little tap of the brake here to slow you down. A little bit of trail braking, and then really slow exit on this corner, because if you put too much throttle, you're just going to spin out. I must have spun out about 1 billion times on here on time trial. It is very frustrating. You just want to get that power down to get an extra tenth on the first corner. But trust me, you want to go more patient on the throttle and it will gain you time. So patient on the throttle here, gently does it, and then boom, you're through. Now coming up to the next corner. Right, again, you want to be braking here around about the 50-meter board, or just before this signal board. Then you want to downshift into fourth gear. And come in here, I'll show you now. That's it in full speed. So this again is a tricky corner. So braking around 50-meter board, or just before the signal board. A little tap on the brakes. You don't want to press them too sharply, and then really you want to be, your wheels want to be almost touching the barrier. I didn't quite get it here on this lap, but it's good enough. And then not too much throttle coming out here, because again you will spin. You got to be a little patient on the throttle and make sure that you don't get spun on the curb. I believe the back of the car stepped out then, nearly. And you want to be hugging the wall all the way around to open up to the next corner. Run a little bit wide here. You don't want to be too full throttle because you'll spin out, but close. Then full throttle through this section, and then you want to get really close to this wall again to open up the next corner. If you mess this up, well, you're going to mess up the next sequence of corners and lose at least 3 tenths, 4 tenths, maybe even half a second. So you come through here. I'm normally like going through 6th gear. I believe they're using 6th gear in real life too, just in the race, in the current Saudi Arabia race that just happened. If you've seen it, I believe a lot of the drivers were using 6th gear through here. I tend to use 6th gear myself. Full throttle around here, well, nearly. And then it's a bit tricky here. You've got to sort of feather the throttle, release the throttle a little bit, but you'll see now my inputs. You're just coming through. You want to hug the corners here, because you don't want to go too full throttle. This is really tricky. You don't want to go too full throttle around this bit, because again you'll just either overdo it, you'll either go over the lines and the lap will be invalid, or you'll just spin out. Very tricky corner. You just sort of got to flow it. So you got to get on the throttle, off the throttle, on the throttle. Now look here. There you go, I was off the throttle a bit there, hugging the corner, completely off the throttle, then slowly back onto the throttle, then full throttle again. And then here we go into the next one. You can dive deep into this corner, you can brake late, and then want to hug the inside as much as possible, and then slowly get onto the throttle, not not full application, because again you'll spin, and then slowly get on the outside here, then full throttle all the way down, and this bit can be quite tricky. Now you want to be braking around the 50-meter board. Yeah, around the 50-meter board. You want to get as close as possible. I actually clipped the wall here, probably lost a little bit of time, but just around the 50-meter board here you want to be braking, and not too harshly, and then just drop down a couple of gears down to about 4th gear as you're coming through. And then you want to hug the inside of this. I didn't quite execute it here, but you'll get it. So yeah, coming through here, you want to hug that inside wall there. Quite difficult to do. I failed on this attempt. And then as you come through, you just want to feather the throttle, not too much application, because you will spin out, and gradually get the full throttle. You want to stay close to the walls, close as possible to the walls. And then the next braking point here, again between the 100-meter board and 50-meter board, or just about at the signal board. You want to slam on the brakes here, and then off the brakes, trail braking all the way through. Get really close to the wall, drop down to 5th gear, and then nearly full throttle on the way through here. Well, pretty much full throttle, maybe ease off a little bit, and then whack it up into 6th gear, close to the wall, all the way through. Then you want to stay tight to the left wall. You'll make a lot of time. And then full throttle. And now you want to brake. Don't want to brake too late here. I'd say you want to brake a bit early, because if you end up braking too late, you don't end up getting quite the full rotation. So you want to be braking at the signal board, or just before it, around about here. That's where I started braking. Where did I braking here? Yeah, just before, nice and early. Get a nice good turn in. Get nice and tight to the wall, and then a nice early exit. Full throttle all the way down to the finish line. Hug the left, maximize, and there's a lap of Jeddah. Now here is the full lap. Enjoy.